Okay, it's time for Law and Disorder
Can't get the kitty in.
with your hostesses.
The kitty's not on mine.
Oh, he's not?
No.
Maybe we need to pull him back.
Now that he's right in front of you.
That's all right. So we've been joined by my one of our kitty cats who responds to sound.
Yay!
So welcome to Law and Disorder, and this is a show that's been going on for a long time. The cat won't last long. It's beginning to annoy me already.
I love it. Watch this. Yay, kitty. Yay, kitty. Oh, you're so excited.
So
I so want one of these. Does it come in a dog?
I think you can have this one in a
Does
moment.
it come in a dog?
Announce the show.
What's his name?
I don't know. I never named him.
Oh, how can you not name him?
We can vault.
Oh, what's Buddha's best friend's name?
Buddha's best friend's name.
Doesn't Buddha have a best friend?
Ananda.
Ananda?
Yeah.
Okay. Like the Ananda Center?
I don't know.
Did you just make that up?
No, Ananda was his cousin and his attendant.
Oh, okay.
I know a little something about the Buddha. Hey, Kathy.
You think?
All right, so she's not going to announce the show, and the cat's making me crazy.
Oh, hi, Ken Goldberg. You just announced it. Oh, the kitty's going to go bye-bye.
So let's get to the show. The cat was a nice intro, but he just doesn't stop.
Do you want me to move him all together?
No, you leave him.
Okay.
He's when we had him plugged in, sound makes him
Really?
move.
I didn't notice that.
No, I'm explaining to them. She's beginning to annoy me. She's going with the cat in a moment, okay? First the cat, and AJ.
I didn't think you were a grumpy pot today. You were a grumpy pot today?
So we're going to talk about
You're not answering me?
This subject that I'm about to introduce, probation. Parole.
Oh, yeah. I was on probation for 5 years.
I'm not sure how to respond to that.
Mm-hmm. I know when I said that last week, you were surprised. How could you be surprised about that?
I know, because you don't have a felony.
I have a deferred adjudication.
And it's very unusual, the states I practiced in,
Mm-hmm.
to have the probation exceed the
Mine
punishment that was available through a jail sentence. In other words, if the maximum jail sentence was 1 year, the maximum probation sentence was 1 year.
Really? No, mine was 5.
What?
Grayson County. Yeah.
I mean, I guess
But you got to remember, it was a long time ago. I was first sober, 88.
I don't know what the law was then.
Yeah.
What I was trying to say is, this is the way the law usually is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not in my case.
So she has a keen interest in this article that we're about to discuss. So Saturday I went to the clubhouse of a local motorcycle club. I was invited to the birthday party.
Did you dress like Charlie Sheen when you went?
No.
Like you are today?
No.
Okay.
T-shirt jeans.
Okay.
I took Raymond with me, and he was in a tie-dye T-shirt and shorts.
So the Jewish dude and the Mexican went to a biker Nazi clubhouse.
I think AJ's trying to do the beginning of a Jew, a Mexican, and a cat walked into a bar.
And a cat.
Yeah. So we went to this clubhouse because I was invited, and Raymond was my plus one. And the subject on the way out there came up because I was invited by people who have extensive criminal history. And my friend Robert, who spent 42 of his 56 years locked up.
What 42 of 56 years? Is that right?
Yeah. He started when he was a teenager being incarcerated.
Okay.
So, I may be off by a couple of years.
But yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. So, and he's on lifetime parole now.
Right.
So, Raymond and I went, and there were various felons in the audience, right? she mentioned swastika. It was kind of interesting because there was a guy, he looked older than me, white hair, wasn't in very good shape, big belly, no t-shirt. He had the patch, the vest, the sleeveless vest. And on his stomach was a big old swastika, tattoo of a swastika and some other stuff above it. But I couldn't take my eyes off of the swastika. And then you walk into the clubhouse, and a big old American flag, Confederate flag, Nazi flag. But everybody was very, very nice to me, and they were nice to Raymond. So that was irrelevant to the point I was making. It was on the way there. And
Was it a little scary?
No,
Okay.
because
Well, you knew you were safe. However,
I did the did you pick up any clients there? I've been offered to represent people there in the past, but it's Tarrant County and beyond. And I'm really not up to driving that far typically. In fact, for me to have gone all the way to Fort Worth for
that was a big deal.
Any event, but I got there, walked in the clubhouse, it was really smoky. Everybody was patched. I thought it was going to be a little wider audience, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
It was at their clubhouse. No.
I don't get invited to a lot of these soirees,
No.
and I go to even fewer. So,
Okay.
So it was smoky because, they don't have any rules against smoking. It was very smoky, and all the girls were patched, the property of patches. So it was, so, and I had to wait for the birthday boy. I'm not going to say the name of the club, but he was in a meeting. They were having a meeting. Anyways, he came out. I gave him a hug and wished him happy birthday. And she keeps diverting me, so I keep forgetting. So on the way there, we were talking about my friend Robert, who I said is on lifetime parole. He had been charged with or accused of a violation of his parole due to having meth in his system.
Well, that's a problem.
I understand, but we're about to discuss that problem. So it was something I was explaining to Raymond at the time, and then I woke up this morning and got this article. That it's been an ongoing debate in the United States for a long time. What do you do with parolees who technically violate their parole or probationers, but are not actually recommitting crimes? The fact is, so one way a parolee could commit a violation is go where he's not supposed to go, be where he's not supposed to be. That's not really a crime for a normal person.
Is there a curfew on him too?
There's curfews on a lot of them. So there's a variety of ways that you could land up violating the terms of your parole. What do you do? Well, a lot of states,
using drugs is one of them.
Right. Now that's a grayer area because there actually is a law against possessing drugs, and if you have drugs in your system, you're a nation. You possess them. So, but the question has lingered. What do we do? Do we keep putting them back in the prison system for being chemically dependent? Right. And we do. So let me read this article because I thought it was really relevant. And feel free to tune in to any one of our podcasts. We're broadcasting simultaneously.
My friends are late. They were late last week too.
Oh, real late.
I know. I feel unloved.
YouTube, Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder. Facebook, Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder. And on my regular Facebook. But eventually, my daughter, who set all this up originally, she said the best quality would be YouTube.
It is.
Channel Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder.
It's a much better one.
Okay. So nearly half of the people admitted to state prisons in the U.S. That's a large number because if you don't know, we actually incarcerate the largest numbers of people, I think, per capita in the world. They are there because of violations of probation or parole. And this was the results of a nationwide study that was done by Arnold Ventures, a philanthropic foundation that funded the study. So the Council of State Governments Justice Center said the majority of these, that's not the foundation. Okay. The majority of these violations are for minor infractions such as failing a drug test or missing a curfew. Okay.
Right.
Those so-called technical violations cost states approximately $2.8 billion, almost $3 billion every year. My sister's here.
Hi, sister.
Okay. So, listen, it's not cost effective to incarcerate people for these minor infractions.
You think meth in your system's a minor infraction?
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
That means they're using drugs, and most crimes are committed on drugs.
You haven't known me a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an advocate of legalization of drugs. I believe the marketplace should work it out.
Okay.
So I believe that meth, heroin should all be in the stream of commerce, quality controlled. And then if somebody has an impairment issue, we know from previous studies that the economics of taxation and legalization of drugs would result in financial availability for bed space and treatment centers. So you would have more money to treat more people.
I have a problem with the drug thing, with them using drugs when they're on probation and parole. I do. I'm just putting it out. I have a problem with that.
Apparently you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In your concern. I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, people do commit crimes.
More crimes when
under the influence of drugs. But
so if you can help that person by keeping him off and not committing crimes, he has a higher chance of committing a crime when he's on drugs. So if you can keep him off when he's on parole and in probation, then he possibly would stay sober. You don't know. I don't know. Well, nobody knows.
What is the vehicle to keep them off? We can't keep anybody off of drugs. How are you keeping?
Well, people stay off all the time just because they know they'll go back to prison.
Yeah, the friends you know.
Okay. Help me.
See,
trust me.
My buddy spent 42 years in.
Okay.
And he's pissed.
It's not for everybody.
He's
yes.
pissed hot
I think it is as a
and he's not
deter.
He is not committing other offenses. He's not being accused of committing other offenses.
But like you said, it is against the law to have illegal drugs. So if illegal drugs are in your system, that means you've broken the law. Because you had to have them on you to do them. Unless, like, I hold up the meth for you, and you take it from me, and then you're not possessing it.
Well, under that theory, people who smoke marijuana should be incarcerated. I don't agree.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying no. Meth and pot are completely different. Sorry.
Well, the reason people commit crimes most of the time while they're on meth or other drugs is because of the lifestyle. It's because they don't have the money to sustain the lifestyle. It's the culture of this. It's the subculture of drug abuse that drives them into crime. You got lots of guys living in the suburbs, white guys smoking meth that are not committing crimes because they don't need to commit crimes because they've got money. So I think economics is more of a driver of this persistent, criminal element than the actual use of the drugs. There's studies done of doctors who are opiate addicted show that they live long and healthy because they have clean needles, clean drugs, on a clean lifestyle. They're not forced into a lifestyle.
You want to go to a doctor that's addicted to opioids? I don't.
Well, whether you want to or not, I guess you can ask your doctor. They don't usually share that information.
No, but I mean, seriously, I don't.
I don't know. I want somebody who's highly functioning, and I
would prefer somebody not on drugs.
Well, that's a preference you can have, and I guess you could ask your doctor, are you under the influence of any drugs? But you're not wanting to see a doctor who may be on drugs doesn't really influence whether that doctor's going to do drugs, right?
Well, right, but he could lose his license, so I would hope that would deter some.
I guess you would be. I mean, you do understand that there's thousands and thousands of doctors,
nurses,
under the influence of drugs at any one moment,
and they could lose their medical license or their nursing license at any moment.
I guess I'm missing the point.
The point is, you would hope that some, even though all those are using, that maybe it saves some by not losing their license.
I don't know a single study that shows deterrence is an effective measure of curtailing drug use.
Really?
I'm not aware, but it's something you could research.
That's a good idea.
I would
Let's
love
research
to discuss
that. I'm going to research that
on the show.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see.
So many states.
Because if I don't want to go to prison, so I'm not going to go out and have a whole crap load of cocaine on me when I was using.
I'm sorry, say that slow down.
Okay, so I don't want to go to prison, so I'm not going to run around when I was using with a shitload of cocaine on me. Okay, I'm going to have a little tiny little vial because that is a completely different bust than having a trunk load of cocaine. So I
Why
would
would somebody
prefer.
have a trunk load of cocaine? That's
Well,
a
we
lot
had
of
trunk
cocaine.
loads of pot before.
She's just.
I did.
Yeah. Understand this. If you legalize drugs, the incentive to have
I
a
understand, but
trunk
they're not
load
going
of
to.
drugs
But
goes away.
I understand.
It-
However, they're not going to legalize that completely. They're only legalizing small portions right
They're
now.
not legalizing any portion
Well,
of.
hopefully they will.
Well, on that hope and prayer. So many states are trying to
Let's see
increase
if
the
my
number of
friends are
people
here yet.
who return to a life of crime.
I don't have any friends. This happened last time too.
I don't know. I don't know
What
what to tell you.
happened?
Are you
Am I
actually
live?
Are you alive, kid?
I don't know. It says I am. Nobody loves me today.
right. They're saying you're interrupting the show.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You're not sorry.
You're
Okay.
the one usually
So
interrupting.
About 95,000 people are locked up because of technical violations on any given day. In 20 states, those minor infractions account for more than half of prison admissions. So this is interesting. I didn't know AJ's sentiment on the subject when I brought it up. I've just never, ever wavered from feeling that technical violations should never have resulted in reincarceration. But then again, I'm also the guy that didn't believe that drugs should be illegal.
Yeah, you're pretty far out. I mean, like you're really on the extreme. I mean, I get it, but that's really on the extreme.
So just so everybody out there understands, and AJ also, my issue with most illegal use of drugs is the consequences that flow from the use, and the consequences that result in the most severe disabilities and impairments are drug adulteration, whether it's methamphetamine, heroin, or whatever. It can be anything from rat poison, which will kill you if you inject it, to this stuff, the laxative, okay, which is more benign. And there's this range in between of adulterated drugs. So somebody thinks they're addicted to opiates. Well, they probably are. And they go out to get opiate. They need to do that because they're addicted. They may put their life at risk various ways. One is the community they go into is going to be criminal by definition. And so there's going to be a certain crime element that thrives in that environment. Okay. They may get the wrong stuff. They may get drugs that'll kill them. Or they may face arrest and incarceration, right? So you've got these downsides to a system. My guess is if we could do a good study of the number of people who would self-identify as either addicted or have a chemical dependency problem, and we understand the magnitude of the problem, we would understand that any attempt we make should be examined, number one. And number two, the legalization is not likely to result in some massive explosion of people. And impairment, you and I discussed this before, should always be illegal. Impaired driving should always be illegal. So
and that's my fear, is that it's going to increase the impairment driving. And
but
I've already shared that.
There's in countries where at one time, I believe in Britain, I'm racking my brain now. You could get, I don't know if you get heroin, but you could go safe places and shoot, and there were safe zones, and Canada was setting up safe zones. I don't know what the follow-up to that has been. I don't know that there's ever been a correlation about access versus use. What I do know is that back when I was on the air in KYNG, the drug czar at the time, it was a female drug czar, she said that the supply had never hamper the demand in the history of the drug war. Interesting thing to
No,
say.
but I thought that,
So here's what she's saying. No matter how much curtailment, no matter how many catches at the border, whatever you do, there's never been a year where they recorded where the demand outstripped the supply.
well, but the drugs just changed. Like during Prohibition, people who usually drank beer and wine began drinking harder liquor. And that's the same thing, like with what's going on with meth and all these really hardcore drugs. They're harder core than ever, and they're in smaller packaging. And so that they're just coming in different sizes now, packing a bigger punch.
So bathtub gin was the example I used on a previous show. That's what we have now. Heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine is bathtub gin. It's dangerous.
Mhm.
It's more dangerous than going to the bar and asking for gin. And when the bartender pours that gin, you and I both know at least it's
Well,
gin.
isn't that what they think's happening in Costa Rica? They think something's wrong with the alcohol. People
Dominican
are making
Republic,
it. Yes,
yeah?
I'm sorry, Dominican Republic. They think something's wrong with the alcohol, and then they show all the distilleries in the backyard and them, putting them in these bottles and stuff. I don't think mine's working. What do you think? It makes no sense, does it?
Could somebody who has AJ as a
Here,
friend
I'm gonna go
check
ahead
and
and
see? What did I just do?
Oh.
We're now all of a sudden we're aware of technical difficulties. What is with the dead gerbil? It's not a gerbil.
That was
Kathy
awesome.
came late.
That was awesome.
It's a dancing cat, and I got tired of him dancing. Okay. So access increases use, doesn't it? No. There is no study I know of that indicates that access increases use. Okay. So, but you're going to research that this week, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, so I was making the analogy to bathtub gin, whether it's heroin, meth, cocaine, whatever. I would rather somebody go to Walgreens, order some heroin or whatever, and get something that is heroin or whatever the equivalent is.
I get
So
it.
that
I see your
they'll
point.
get needles. There'll be less. We believe from research that there'll be less of a burden on the health side. You won't have the emergency room admissions like you do now.
Okay.
You have people who overdose. We know that, but a lot of the overdose because nobody knows what the actual measurement is, right? You know these people, so they go out. You score a bag.
No, you're high as hell, and you do too much because you're too high. It doesn't. No, people are okay.
Well, okay. When I used heroin, the problem was you bought it in a powder in a little tin foil thing. She apparently has a different experience, and you opened up this packet, and people guessed how much to put in the spoon,
right,
and cook.
Right. And you really think when you're high, you're going to get that right?
People died on the first shot is right.
Okay.
Okay. Because there was no way of knowing. Actually, if I don't know that many people that subsequently died, doing the second or third shot, more so than the first shot. And if it was rat poison, they died on the first shot, right?
I understand.
Yeah. So I would rather they go to Walgreens, come home, and quietly do their drugs.
And you believe that people won't OD on the first time as much?
Maybe they will.
Okay, but you just said that.
No, I don't think they will on the first time because they'll know what's in the packet, exactly what's in the packet.
Yeah, can we change subject?
No.
I totally disagree with this.
I'm
keeping my mouth shut.
If you go and you buy 10 milligrams of 10 cc's or something, it'd be measured. You can measure 10 cc's in a packet, right?
Anything you say.
That's a great argument. Now I'm impressed.
I'm not going to argue with you over this. We are so far at different extremes on it. No, I'm not going to do it.
Let's see what Kathy said. Isn't it common sense with alcohol? If it gets easier to do without the consequences. And so we talked about economic influence on alcohol use and prohibition.
Yeah.
So she's bringing up an issue we discussed the previous show wherein when prohibition began, research indicates that hard use went up
Correct.
because it was easier to get
That is
liquor
absolutely correct.
than it was to get beer and wine.
Correct.
So, and then when prohibition was removed, the drop in hard liquor back to beer and wine went up. And that was part of an economic study that you and I
Correct.
talked about on the
Correct.
show. So I don't think that one necessarily means the other, but what are you going to do? She's not going to argue with me. Okay. So, by the way, last week I talked about the SEAL team guy, Eddie Gallagher,
Oh,
who
yeah.
went on trial last week for supposedly murdering
Mine's not working.
a young.
It really isn't working. I mean, it's showing up on my thing, but it's obviously not working right. I'm not going to worry about it, but go ahead. Weird, right?
Yeah, that is weird. Where's all AJ's friends?
I mean, they're there, but obviously they're not. I don't know. It's weird.
So Kathy also added something I'll finish up with. The consequences. If there's no consequences, I would do more. The lifestyle that I resided in when I was a drug addicted person, consequences didn't play a big role. I mean, we were already breaking the law. I think that a lot of people,
Oh, they did for me. The amount I carried always played a
the
role.
amount you carried, but it didn't stop you from doing it.
No.
Any amount of cocaine's a felony.
Correct. But
It wouldn't matter if you had this
it would
much.
have mattered the amount of years
Yes.
and whether or not I'd get probation or
Yes,
not.
and in Illinois, if you were involved with possession of 15 or more grams,
Mhm.
or selling 15 or more grams, that was a class X. You had a minimum of 6. So a friend of mine who was a lawyer that didn't practice,
Mhm.
Tom, he went in the travel business. He said, "Oh, well, you should just tell your clients never sell more than 14 grams."
There
at a
you go.
time." And I'm like, that's a good idea. But, I bet he.
Oh,
So
some people are coming on.
there you go. So
They started it.
SEAL team member Eddie Gallagher
Yes.
was on trial last week
Yep.
for murdering a teenage hijab, whatever,
Yes.
Middle Eastern combatant.
Mhm.
And the boy was in
Prisoner of
custody.
war, really.
He was in cuffs,
Mhm.
and he was in the custody of one of our branches of military. I know the SEAL team brought him in. And so another SEAL team member, was testifying against us, Eddie Gallagher, saying that he murdered this
That
kid.
he saw him cut his
Yeah.
throat.
Right.
Mhm.
So now, in the middle of the trial, another guy gets on the stand and says, "Well, actually, I did it. It was a mercy killing." See the look on your face? Yeah. He says,
Okay, why was it a mercy
knew
killing?
that he was getting ready to get turned over to, it was going to get returned back to.
Is this the
judge-
guy's argument? Seriously? And it was a
Why would
mercy
I-
killing?
why would I-
No, that's just a horrible argument. Okay, go ahead.
I'm trying to think.
I mean,
Yeah, I
that's all
thought
he
it-
had. I mean, that's
yeah,
a great
I-
argument if that's
No,
all he
I
had to
agree
go
with
with.
you. I agree with you. I thought it was.
I mean, he pulled it out of his
I
ass,
thought it was a
obviously.
big argument, and I don't know if that's going to change the jurors. It's a military jury. I don't know that they'll be persuaded by somebody else coming in and saying, "I did it." Obviously, that's a big kink in the works.
That is.
But I had a trial. Actually, a guy came to me because he had been on trial for stealing a car, and he had already been convicted of car theft in the past. And somebody else took the stand
Mhm.
and said, "No, I did it," and the judge convicted him anyways. She said, "I don't believe that guy.
Okay.
I think
Do you think
you
this
did
is
it."
what's happening here? They're trying to,
In
muddy
that
the water
case-
in the case?
Well, in that case, the judge said about the guy that said, "I did it."
Yeah.
She said, "I think he's doing that because he can get probation
And the other
and
guy.
the other guy wouldn't
Right,
because
right.
of his previous record." In this case, you're saying you murdered somebody,
That's not good.
and I don't know that mercy killing is defensible.
I don't think so. That's interesting. We'll find out. We'll keep you abreast, right?
So look, you finally somebody's listening to you.
Well, I restarted it.
Oh,
Yeah.
hi, Olive.
Hello.
So I just thought I'd bring you up to date that Eddie Gallagher is probably
Gonna get off.
likely to win his case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he didn't do it. What do we know?
I wasn't there,
Yeah.
and so I always say and you've heard me say this either privately or publicly, I don't know. You know, every time I got a case, especially murder case, because they didn't cover my drug cases, but a lot of murder cases get covered by the media. And, you know, you'd read the article and the guy is signed, sealed, delivered. He's
Right.
done for it. He's guilty, and there's not going to be a defense. And then, you know, we would get to trial, and here's one of the things I noted. This courtroom staff would start saying things to me about during the trial about, oh, that was really interesting. I never heard that before. What it is it's called cross-examination,
Right.
right? So when the media gets the crime, they report only what's in the police report.
Oh.
Nobody calls the cop and says, you know what, I'm looking at your police report. Before I go with this article, you know, can you tell me?
Well, I don't think the police would answer, would they?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
And then there's this wrongful death case that Candace is handling in Chicago, which was really interesting because so a police officer shoots this young black boy, 20 years old, in the back.
Yeah.
He fires 12 times. He hits him once in the back, says he was shooting at him because the policeman was pointing a gun at him. The policeman was black. I don't believe it was a racial thing. I don't believe he was trying to murder the kid. I believe something spoke the cop and he got out and started shooting, but all they recovered was a phone.
Right.
But he swears it was a gun. Well, here's what I was going to tell you. There is a bureau in Chicago that is assigned to investigate every police shooting.
Sure.
Right. So they're supposed to get up, these investigators, former cops, not too infrequently, run out to wherever it is and start trying to ascertain whether it was a good shoot, a justified shoot. So I get this case, and I'm reading the police reports, and I can't remember the name of the organization in Chicago, but it doesn't really matter. It's supposed to be an independent entity that investigates, right? Now, in 57 shootings, they had never found a fault.
On a police officer. I was just going to say, it could be an independent entity that is all former police officers. Okay.
So in this case, I'm reading this guy's report and he says, well, I arrived and the police told me probably shouldn't be out here for too long because it was a gang. The police officer shot a gang kid and the gang is talking about retaliating. So I'm reading this 3 years later and I say to Candace, okay, here's what happens when a cop shoots somebody or somebody shoots a cop. 50 squad cars are on this.
Absolutely.
There is no place safer to be than the scene of a police shooting.
Yep.
Because ain't nobody coming to retaliate. So he says he left. He left. He stopped the investigation because, you know, but he doesn't know who told him that, by the way. In his report, he says, you know,
it was made up.
He got that. So,
I mean, couldn't you have come up with something better? You hear these things that people come up with, and it's like, come on, you had plenty of time to think of a better lie. I mean, come up with something better. It's embarrassing.
why was I talking about cops lying anyways? What were we talking about?
We were talking about the shooting with the kid in the back with the 12
why?
shots.
Why was I talking?
I don't know. You went off on that tangent.
Why?
I don't know. I'm supposed to follow you. You can't even follow yourself.
It is kind of sucky, isn't it? All right, so let's move along.
Moving.
Maybe I'll remember what it was I meant to be communicating as the afternoon wears on. So,
Okay.
The Metropolitan Transportation Authority, that's New York's DART, Dallas Area Rapid Transit. Okay, they're being sued by a sex toy company. And here's the underlying premise of the lawsuit. They're being denied the right to advertise sex toys primarily for women. So they sued, and in the allegations, they say, listen, you've taken Viagra type ads, and you've taken erectile dysfunction ads.
All kinds of ads.
But now all of a sudden, your morality doesn't
condom ads. They've taken everything possible. Yeah, when you hear, they didn't want to take sex toys, you go, okay, well, I understand that. But when you hear what they've already taken, then it's like, well, that's not fair then that they're not taking the sex toy ads.
I think that if you're going to have sex toy advertising or sexually
there's
oriented,
tasteful way to do it. You don't have to have a dildo standing there on the poster.
Right.
You know, it's
So-
like Trojan
so
man.
If
and
you
he
want to
comes running
say
in
it
on a
was not
horse.
appropriate for somebody
Mhm.
under a certain age, but to simply say sexual ads are inappropriate as if
Yeah,
we
well-
need to be protected from sex.
Oh, they also have STD ads. They have the condom ads. They had the erectile dysfunction ads. They have all these ads, and then won't take a sex toy ad.
This is kind of funny. The rejected ads included photos of sex toys, along with a number of
Well,
cheeky.
I get. I mean, there's a nice way
Well,
to put it.
they weren't dildos, by the way.
What were they? Like a massager,
They're like these little
pocket rocket thing.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll
You know they
get
have
I'll
ones
show
that
you-
plug
I'll show
into
you
the
a
car
photo.
too.
I don't copy the
They have
photos.
one that plugs
No,
into
no,
the
no,
car
no,
too.
no, that's not. It wasn't
Maybe that was the problem. Maybe they were plugging them into the mass transit and using them on the train. I'm just kidding. Go
sex
ahead.
toys, along with a number of cheeky slogans like "You come first."
I thought that was pretty cute.
Mhm. And then some riders need extra help getting off.
I think that's cute. I think it's funny.
And only 4% of female riders can get off trains that just stay in tunnels. Okay, so then you did some research and you pulled
Well,
up,
that's because I used to own the Sundown, and the Sundown
and you
was
pointed out
adult and-
you had raised it before, and you raised
Right.
it again before the show, that the possession of 6 dildos in Texas
is technically still on the books.
was a crime.
Correct.
It is a crime.
Yes, technically
you-
still on the
You
books.
pulled up a great article. Did you get rid of it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, we know what it says.
Oh, yeah, but no, there was a line in there. Remember,
Oh.
I said that the court said there was no constitutional
Constitutional,
right
right?
to get off or something.
Right. There was no
Oh.
constitutional right to enforce it. I mean,
No. The original appellate opinion was against the makers, against the possession. And I said to you, that is
Correct.
a great line.
Yes, but that's true. So but it wasn't until 2008 that they finally overruled it. The whole time I had the Sundown and all that, it was still intact. And that's why when you went into a condom store, they'd have a little sticker on it that said,
Not for
right.
This
It's
is a
novelty.
novelty
They'd
item.
have novelty
So-
stickers on everything. Maybe a giant dildo and there'd be a novelty sticker on it. I mean, as long as it had that novelty sticker, they were getting away with it. But for a long time in the 80s and 90s, they were getting busted. The stores here in town that had vibrators.
and they
and
were
they were
getting
getting
busted,
arrested.
and they still have problems
Mhm.
with walking into a head shop and saying, "What do you got to smoke weed?" Nothing. Get out.
Right.
You know,
Right.
what do you have to smoke? Nothing. Get out.
Exactly.
What do you have to clean my urine before I do a random drop?
Right.
Get out.
Right.
But you could ask for something, a cleanser,
Yes.
as long as you didn't tell them it was for
Was
drugs.
for drugs.
Yes, you could buy a pipe
It's just
as long as you
ridiculous.
said it was for tobacco
Right.
or herbs. But if you used any on people, people got locked up both
Yeah.
on that side of the counter
And for the
on
vibrators.
this side
I
of the
mean,
counter.
it was yes, and that's when Marsha Khan went and her at Condom Sense, her employee was being arrested, and they called, and she went down as owner of the Condom Sense stores, and she was arrested instead of the person behind the counter, and that's how she ended up having the huge article in the Observer and on the front cover of the Observer with all the dildo or massage, vibrators, you know.
So let's close on this. No, you
What
had some
time is
other
it?
cool. I wish you hadn't closed. No, I'm not closing the show.
Oh.
I wish you hadn't closed the article. You had all this information about like it's
Okay.
illegal to get laid here or something.
No, it was illegal in one of the states to eat sushi. when you're
that's not the
naked.
one I.
How weird is
But-
that?
What I was going to say is closing this segment on the understanding that if you, and one of the judges said clearly the intent was to deal with people selling sex toys, that possessing 6 was not the issue. It was possessing 6 for commerce, but that wasn't in the law, right? So I just want you all to know that in the United States, there are places you can go to jail for having too many sex toys.
That's true.
And you should
Most
always.
states aren't enforcing it, though, is what they're saying. Here,
Well, they
14
can say that.
outdated sex laws that need to change this
They
year.
can say that.
No
Mhm.
fun with penis structures, sculptures. So you're not allowed to make penis sculptures.
So there's a state we're having it's a map,
Mhm.
and it says you can't have premarital sex in
Mhm.
this state, but we can't exactly tell. It looks like it may be a Virginia.
We didn't pass it. We didn't
You can't
pass
lie to
geography.
get laid.
Right. And you can't get married if you have an STI. And of course, Texas, real big across Texas, says no more than 6 dildos allowed. So I had a friend that owned
mind your P's and
yeah.
Q's.
So I had a friend that in the 80s owned a, adult store. All right. And sold the videos and everything. And he was trying to get away with selling dildos. So what he did was he froze a dildo in a big block of ice and we're selling them as novelty items and was thinking, okay, well, this will work. People will buy it and use it. And da, da, da. But the problem was the dildo cracked and everything in the ice and the plastic didn't hold up. So his idea didn't work. I thought it was an ingenious idea, but it didn't.
No, ingenious ideas are the ones
that work.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good idea, but it didn't work. When the dildos froze, they cracked and then peeled off and everything. So didn't work.
We're getting away from sex now.
We're getting away from sex?
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And we're getting into another subject.
Mm.
This is law and disorder. So we use the law to make social commentary, really, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So a female Minnesota police officer was awarded over $500,000 because other police officers were accessing her information, DMV and such, for non-investigative purposes. And what happens is you can ask the Department of you can ask the DMV
in some states
a readout in Minnesota.
Yeah.
A readout of access to your records.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, she got a notice from Minnesota's Department of Natural Resources that an employee had abused his access to a government driver's license database and snooped on thousands of people in the state, mostly women. When she asked for an audit of access to her DMV records, she found out that her information had been viewed nearly 1,000 times.
That's amazing.
In 10 years. 1,000 times. She was never under investigation, okay? And she was a law enforcement officer. Before she was a police officer, she was a Parks and Recreation officer.
And then they found.
Yeah, it was like 500 of the accesses were
the
guys she was working with.
Yeah.
And
guys
apparently some had asked her out on dates.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. It was horrible. Right. So she got a jury verdict.
That included her address. I can't even imagine knowing that 1,000 times my address was looked up. That's disturbing.
So she's been harassed repeatedly after she filed the lawsuit, and she had to take desk duty because officers were refusing to back her up.
Right. So she's on a call, and then the officers wouldn't show up.
You do that to me, and one by one.
Well, I'm surprised she didn't sue. I understand that she sued. Was that suing the department? Because if the officer, she can prove
sued
that
the city. Oh, she sued some of the officers. Two of the officers were sued.
I would sue the people who weren't showing up to back her up too. Can you do that?
No.
That's just bullshit.
$300,000 punitive damage from 2 defendants.
She has a desk job now, so it affected her entire career.
Right.
It affected her career. So essentially, the guys who did this won because they ruined her career. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hopefully, when the city gets the bill, they'll change things, and they say they are, to make it much more difficult. I think now you have to enter reason when you access the database. You also have to explain what your reason is. So if you're lying, it's not a legit, you'll have problems. Okay.
Right.
So they talked about how so many of these databases are vulnerable, and the people who work creating the databases oftentimes are accessing it.
Well, of course. Yeah. I know that the people at school, I shouldn't say.
Janine loves penis sculptures.
Yay! That's my sorority sister.
So we were talking about privacy, and now the next one is about privacy also. Amazon has asked for a patent for home surveillance drones. And what they're planning to do is
Yeah, this is sort of crazy.
you can subscribe to a service
Mhm.
to have a drone sent over your property to look for things amiss. Or you can have, once a package delivered, that same drone can go
Can
around
check
your
and
house
see if your
look.
garage door is
And it can
shut.
notify you or police or whatever if there's appears to be a break and entering or something like that. And we already
That's
know.
two totally separate things. I mean, I get it, but I mean, really, one topic is that the drone is going to be delivering your package. Like, where are they going to drop it? That's my question.
Well,
Are they
that apparently they say
they've been doing that.
Yeah, well, they say they're ready to roll on that.
Right.
Pretty soon.
They've been doing that and practicing that and
They've
everything.
got-
But where does the drone deliver the package? And who's driving the drone? I'm just curious.
Well, there's a drone operator.
Okay, back at the station.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he can pretty much get in
Apparently,
there and drop
up to
it off
15
at the.
miles.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so they'll drop it on your porch,
Well, okay. Let's see if
Okay.
they can.
and they're ready to start delivering packages that are under 5 pounds
Right.
in a matter of months. They say.
Right.
Okay. Now,
I actually thought they had already started that.
and
but-
UPS and DHL
Mhm.
and Google have all also asked the Federal Aviation Administration for approval of their plans to deliver packages by drone. Also.
How are they going to do that? That the drones aren't going to be running into each other? I mean, the planes have a system. I mean, what's going to be their system? Well, eventually they're going to have one, right? There's going to be drones. It seems to me like there's going to be quite a few drones if
my
there's going to be
guess
delivering
is-
all the packages.
My guess is if the skies get crowded, they'll have some sort of boat evasion technology. So if they get too close to something, I mean, right now, if I had the money, I could go out and buy a car that won't hit somebody because if it detects
Okay.
an object, it'll start to break the car.
Yeah, that was just my question. I mean, I would think that they're already doing that.
I want a vehicle that when I turn on the right turn signal
Okay.
and there's somebody in my blind spot,
Mhm.
it will signal me. They have that technology.
Yes, they
Same with
do.
I don't have it.
Yeah, I don't either,
Yeah.
but that's in,
They've got
and that's in
some.
the
If
new
you're,
ones.
if you're
Yeah.
on cruise control
Mhm.
and you're not paying attention, you get too
Like
close.
those all, right.
Adaptive cruise control.
Right.
I want that too. And I want the one where if your head droops, it will start buzzing you.
Oh God,
So
I
that's
needed that when I
telling-
was in college driving home.
That's telling you that
Oh
you're
my
falling
God.
asleep.
I would
I
get
would-
behind the trucks because the
would-
trucks would yell at me on my CB because I'd fall asleep and they'd start yelling at me.
You have had such a bizarre life.
Well, because I'd get behind the truck because I was driving by myself and then I felt safe with the trucker watching me. And then it's the truth. And I really had a hard time staying awake sometimes. You never had a problem staying awake?
Yes, that's
huh?
why I said I want the
Yeah.
technology.
I
in
do
my
too, but
vehicle.
I just had a little help with them little
But I
truckers
just,
out there.
you know, you jumped to. I had truckers.
I
yelling at me out of
did.
Their CBs, and you know, I can't imagine a life where truckers were talking to me on their CB about staying awake and stuff.
Of course, you're driving 4 hours behind a truck to Dallas. You get to know the trucker a little bit. I was a little sunshine.
I never did that. I got behind a truck for about 20 minutes at
So
most.
Janine says her new truck does that. And then Jeff says that each aircraft is aware of all other aircraft's position and where they're heading. So there you go.
Well, so, all right. So you can always type us questions or comments. I'm monitoring my Facebook page. I'm monitoring Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder Facebook page, and I monitor the YouTube channel.
Yes.
And then you're monitoring your Facebook
Right.
page, and your people woke up, albeit they came a
Well,
little late.
Well,
party.
mine wasn't, I don't think, working properly. So I restarted
At some
it.
point, we can't tell if you're still there. So I don't even know if say hi to Ginny and Hillary and Susan and Ernesto, Ernie, or Daniel or Eva.
Are you just calling out names?
No, there's some
I'm
names
kidding
that are
you.
on here.
I'm kidding
But I
you.
don't know. There's no way it doesn't tell Elaine. Hey, Elaine.
I'm
I don't know if
kidding
any of them stuck around, Ray D and Kathy,
you.
my sister. So, I mean, it would be nice if it would tell you people left also. There, I don't know. I
It
know
doesn't
that.
matter.
I know-
Radio, you don't know either. You didn't know who was listening to you on the radio, and you kept babbling on anyway.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's some truth to that.
yeah.
All right. So
Mhm.
with 10 minutes to go, what's important for for us to communicate? By the way, I did an interview with a woman named Corey
Hmm.
Amons.
Yes. Yesterday.
Yeah. She does a podcast. It's not video and it's not live. She asked some really good questions.
Good.
Freaking me out, because you
Good.
got to answer them.
Right.
Yeah, you got
Catch you off guard.
You got to think.
What was one that she's asked you?
Well, I don't remember.
Oh.
But here's what I know. I've been interviewed a lot of times in the media. I've been interviewed and out of the media. And typically my position has been, I know me, so I'm not that afraid of interviews.
Right.
Right? Because interview, you're asking me about something I know.
Right.
So, okay, let's do
You
this.
can't really screw up about knowing yourself.
So when somebody's asked you questions in such a way that you're like, oh, I don't know.
That's
I
a
never
good
thought of it.
question.
You're like, well, I don't know.
Well, you're going to have to go back and look at the podcast. Where can they find it?
She's editing, and she said it'll probably be on by Thursday or Friday.
Okay, well, we'll tell them next week.
And we will publish it, right?
Okay, yeah, we'll tell them where it is.
I was really impressed with her interview skills.
Good.
And I said to you that she had this, that, and the other thing. Your answer was, we don't interview anybody, so what?
Yeah. Well, when
I'm
we
like,
get the interview,
she had me sign a release.
yeah,
so she could
I'm like,
use-
have we interviewed anybody? Of course we'll do that.
she could do. No, I don't think I would ever.
Of course you do.
No, I don't think so.
Yes.
She can use my likeness from that show in perpetuity.
Exactly.
She took a picture of me. She can use my likeness to
Of
promote her show.
course.
I signed it. I asked her, was it a commercial undertaking because of this? But she said no. She had taken a podcast class, and these were some of the things they said
Yeah,
that were useful.
it makes sense.
Listen, I interviewed for radio, and I don't know what the warning was. The producer usually,
Took care of all that for you, so you have no idea.
I think they'd say, you're live on the air, and the person had to acknowledge.
Oh,
it.
okay.
I don't think they had to give any permission beyond that.
Okay.
I think you had to tell them that they were going to be on
Okay.
the air.
But she's smart. I agree with
You
her.
couldn't call them and not tell them they were on
I
the
think
air.
that's a smart way to do it,
So, okay, so she had that. She had me fill out a questionnaire in advance.
I like that, yeah.
And so, it was like going on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Oh, did you see on Colbert that the mayor of Chicago was on it?
No.
Yeah, mayor of Chicago on it.
The
First
new one or
black,
the old
the new one,
Oh,
the first black openly gay woman. Woo woo, Chicago!
Chicago.
Good job.
So that interview will air. She calls it Extraordinary Neighbors. It's a
Yeah, I like
podcast.
that. That's good.
And at one point, the dogs started barking. And so, unlike our show where we would have to go,
More we're live, yeah.
she hits pause, backs it up, and
And then
starts
redoes
from
it.
there.
So she's going to edit it and everything. We don't edit. We don't believe in editing.
Well, we can't. It's live. What are we going to do?
Well,
We could
you can
stop.
go back and edit after.
I wouldn't know how. Do you know how to do that kind of
Well,
stuff?
yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Kathy says it was a great show, but Kathy says that every week.
I know, we love Kathy.
She enjoys the show.
We love Kathy. Did
I-
you like
My friends
hamster?
are reluctant to critique, but I went to REI Sunday,
yes?
and there's a fan of my original
Yes.
show, and so I
Okay.
said, so he walked up to me and said, "Hey, I listened to your podcast
Okay.
a couple of years," and I said, "Oh, how'd you like them?"
Yeah, exactly. You're afraid to ask. Oh, I watched the podcast. I just wait. I don't even ask. Did I offend you?
He said, "Well, it's different than the radio show,"
Mhm.
and I didn't think so.
Oh,
So I waited. I followed him to the back of
now you're all
store.
curious. Why is it different? Well, you do have this gorgeous, beautiful 55-year-old bombshell sitting next to you. Do you like
I
that?
jumped on him.
I'm
and
trying to raise my self-confidence.
I jumped on him and I pummeled him and said, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" And he said, "Yeah, it was just different," but he didn't get into detail. So I said, "It's really the premise is the same, because we've announced we're trying to say
Different's good.
different."
Is good.
Okay,
Yay.
all right. So
Janine says, ask Amy about her sorority days. Oh my God.
well, do I ask you on the air or should we?
Oh, I know.
should I vet
Alpha
that?
Delta Pi.
Should I vet that first? So I'm teaching.
Hi,
I'm teaching meditation at the Buddhist temple in
Yes.
Dallas. It's called the Buddhist Center of Dallas. And
It's on Stoltz Road.
yeah, it looks like the camera's far away. I look at yours.
No. I like your picture much better than mine.
Really?
Yes, I like it 100%. I don't like my picture on face, the way it's coming out. The through the better camera, the picture is further away
But
and
these
we
are all
look much
using- Mine
nicer.
are all using the same camera, right?
Yours is using the same
Yeah.
camera. Mine's using my
So
camera.
here's what's going on. I'm looking over at AJ's computer, and she's using her cam web
Right, which
the
isn't good. It's not a good camera.
camera
We
that's
need a new
built
one.
in,
Right.
and she's also using the microphone
Mhm.
that is built in. I am using an external camera and an
Mhm.
external microphone
But
for
that's
my
much better.
recording.
It's much better quality of sound. It's much better camera.
So if I look to my right,
Mhm.
we are right there.
Yeah.
Because her camera is
Yeah.
is
And
right
when you're
there.
older, we really want it further back.
Whereas my
we want it
camera,
smaller.
my camera is over yonder.
Yes.
So,
And we might be getting a whole new podcast set up soon.
Yeah. AJ
Mhm.
wants us to get more professional.
Yes. AJ, you don't want to get more professional? Is that too hard for you?
You know, I ain't lying. I was about as professional as I ever hoped to achieve.
That is not true. You were on the radio for years.
Wait. I'm saying now.
Oh, okay. Now I'll give you that.
We went
You're
to
professional at Buddhist meditation. You're very professional.
We went to the store and bought a variety of items to create a podcast, all of which
Yes.
went on my credit card.
Uh-huh.
And if you know my daughter,
He actually gave us the credit card and we didn't abuse it. I was very proud of us.
well, she says we didn't abuse it.
we didn't abuse it.
AJ did not abuse it. My daughter never returned half the stuff that she ultimately decided.
Well, I
Wasn't-
didn't realize that. That wasn't my
wasn't working well.
responsibility.
So
What'd she do with it?
we've got an extra stand. We've got
Oh, we have an extra stand?
somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
she's
Because I
like-
can hook up a better camera to this one.
She was saying to
Okay.
me, here, like for instance, there was this little tripod that was going.
Yeah.
And she said, here, put this on your bicycle so you can do stuff when you're
Oh,
on the
that's
bike."
fun.
Yes, she recycled because she doesn't like returning stuff.
Oh, I return things all the time.
In my world, returns are very important.
It's very important.
Yes. And,
Especially after the festival. Man, I have a lot of returns after that thing. I had 12 what are they called? Tablets that we didn't use during the festival. 12 of them. That's a lot of money.
I don't know what a tablet
You know,
is.
a mini computer because we were supposed to be
oh.
scanning on it and we ended up
Oh.
scanning all the
Oh, yeah,
payments on
those would be
people's phones.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
okay.
was a crap load of money that I returned, like, almost $2,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you.
That was an important thing.
I-
Every time I look over there, I think that that's a friggin' spider.
It's a cat toy.
Yeah.
So I had what I used to do is I'd buy stuff, bring it home, try it on. I don't like trying on stuff in a lot
I
of the
try them on
stores.
there.
Well, it's sometimes it's across the thing or there's 6 people
Oh,
waiting
dear God.
to get in, whatever it
Must
is.
wait.
So
Why?
I get home or
He's a
I
Buddha.
all right, it fit right, but when I got
Patience,
home, people were like,
tolerance.
everybody was just like, it's not you. So back to the store. So I would come
It
home.
must be really far out there if they are saying it's not you because I've seen your clothes and they are very awesome. I love them, but they're out there
So I would come home and say, oh, I made $65 today.
because you took your stuff
I
back.
took stuff back. Rachel's like, that's not making $65. I'm like, I beg your
It
pardon.
is. It's
I
putting
beg
it
your
back in your pocket.
It
I
was
agree.
gone.
You know, when I was younger, I didn't
Uh,
like returning either.
My mother made us.
I really said, and
She taught us from an early age. If that's not right, you return it.
right. That's
Yeah.
good. That's a good
You
lesson.
got chastised.
Mhm.
I think I told you that I once bought a defective toy. There was something wrong with it. It was a toy gun or toy battleship. And when we got it home, I brought it home from the toy store. There was something wrong. And she said, did you get, did you pay full price for that? I was probably 11 years old. And yeah.
And she made you take it back.
She said, don't you do that again.
Oh, okay.
She didn't make me take it back, but she trained me. And it's held me in good stead.
Okay.
I want to say it's held me in good stead. So a shout out to the birthday boy at the motorcycle club. He's not listening, but I'll
You
tell
never
him.
know. Hey, is it Robert?
Well, Robert
a
doesn't
book?
have a computer.
Oh,
So Robert ain't
well, he has a
listening.
phone.
What's that got to do with it?
He can watch it on his phone.
I don't know if he has a smartphone.
Everybody has a smartphone now.
No, everybody doesn't.
Really?
Kathleen doesn't have a smartphone. I know for a fact.
Lordy.
And I have friends that don't have smartphones.
Really?
Yes.
Is it Happy?
No, Happy's got a smartphone.
Mac?
No, those guys.
So we're getting.
So the vice president of the club, it was his 40th birthday. I went to his party, and as I said at the beginning of the show, for the use that got here late, I went to a motorcycle club party.
A 1% club.
1% swastikas.
The Jewish with a Mexican wet, and they survive.
And
woo woo!
it was, first off, I met Robert right at the door.
That was perfect.
Wasn't glad that way, but we just arrived at the same time. He had his Harley. I had my Prius. Oh man, I pulled up to a biker club in a Prius, and so I said to Robert, I said, I didn't eat. Could we go get something to eat? Robert couldn't fit inside the Prius. He's 6'5".
Oh my God.
And Raymond was in the back, so he had to put the seat all the way back. Still couldn't get in and out. He's 6'5", and he's
oh my God.
So we went to Whataburger, because where
of
else
course.
you were gonna go? We had Whataburger, and we got Becky, and we go back to the clubhouse now, and now the party's beginning to fill up. People in the parking lot. 3 of us pull up. Robert's got this a beard that goes down like a thin, and it's got
tie
twine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love those. Yeah, those are fun.
And he's never smiled. If he smiled, and I've known him 5 years, I missed it. After 42 years in prison, smiles come very sporadically.
Okay.
So he gets out, and I'm like, remember I told you when I met the leader of the Blackstone Rangers, and he walked in the restaurant, and I walked right behind him to make everybody think I'm with them?
Oh, yeah.
That's what we did with Robert.
Okay, that was good. That was smart.
3 ducks.
That was smart.
He was the lead duck.
Oh my God.
And so he walked up. Everybody knew him. Everybody was respectful.
Well, one of the most embarrassing times I had, my motorcycle broke down. My trike broke down. And the only person I had to call was Bruce Kahn. And he showed up in his Rolls Royce to help me on my motorcycle when I'm trying to be a badass biker bitch, and a Rolls Royce comes to help me. I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God. It's the only way. I had to get out. I know.
How embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. Here I am, this tough biker bitch, and all my leathers on my trike.
Here's embarrassing.
My cover got blown.
Here's embarrassing for you, okay? I was thrown out of the only bike parts store in Chicago that sold old Harley parts. I was prohibited.
What the hell did you do in there? Was this an anger issue?
No. Oh, no. Dude was biting. He 1%er.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So first I bought a 1942 Harley Davidson 45.
Oh.
It's a small engine, 750 cc. So in 1940, when I bought it, it was pretty old. I bought it in the 70s.
But that's really cool.
It was kind of cool, but it broke down a lot.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it was all original. So I had to go to this one guy. I mean, he was the only place in town to get parts. So I sold that motorcycle, and I bought a 3-wheeler.
Mm-hmm. That's what I rode for years. Now I have a motorcycle.
This was a Cervicar. Though.
Okay, it had this.
This had the small engine. They're the kind that police used to roll
no,
around
mine was
on
a trike.
Right.
Yeah.
Yours was a trike.
Yeah.
Mine was an early trike, but not like yours.
Right.
So I had problems with it. Well, when I first bought it, it had a roof.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You could sit 2 people in back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it had, when I bought it, it had iron cross.
Why didn't you just put in
iron cross windows in it?
Oh, my God.
I bought it from a biker, so I took those out, and we put those bubble windows in that you saw in bands back in the day. So I had 2 bubble windows. I had this whole police used to pull me over just to look at the
car. Yeah.
Well, when I bought it, it had a SU carburetor, which was for a Jaguar. Somebody thought that was cool. I thought it was a problem because my bike kept breaking down. So somebody said, well, put the stock carburetor on. So I went to the guy. He's on North Side and South Side.
What did you do that you got kicked out of the Harley place?
So I bought a carburetor.
Never piss off a 1%.
I bought a original carburetor, and I took it and I put it on. And there's 3 bolts, and one of the bolt thingy cracked, flange cracked.
Okay.
I'm like, huh. I take it off. I go up to the north side. Look, it cracked. He looks at me. He looks at it. He hands me another one. I go back to my bike.
Don't tell me it did it again.
I did it again.
Oh no, there's no way.
So I don't know.
That was your air,
Back-
not the
back I-
carburetor's air.
back I go
User
to-
air. Ken doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Right. I didn't know you need a torque wrench.
Okay.
So that when you're pushing down, unlike little bolts, nuts and bolts that I had run into in my life, you need a torque wrench because you need to know what pressure to put on those. So I hand him the second carburetor. Again, I'm completely innocent. I'm not trying to screw him. He looked at that and he said, "Get out of here and don't you ever
Exactly. He knew you
ever
were in
said-
dumbass.
put in the store again." So whenever I needed parts, I had to drive somebody else up there and stay outside while they went in.
There you go.
So talk about dumbass biker stories. I got more like that someday. Anyways, that's the end of the show. Glad you tuned in. But you can check out the show. If you got here late, you can check it out online. Check it out on Ken Goldberg's channel, YouTube channel. It's called Ken Goldberg's Lawn Disorder, where you can check it out.
Is it Gay Pride Parade this weekend, or did I miss that?
Geez, now that's something I've
Dallas
been
one?
monitoring. I think it's long gone.
I thought it was June.
Well, it's the end of June, all right? June is over. It's the 25th here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was wondering if it was this
they had it.
weekend.
No, it was
was
at
in the middle
Fair
of
Park. It was a big to do.
I
It
know,
got
it's-
more publicity.
No, they do it down in Oak Lawn. The big
Not
one in Oak
anymore.
Lawn.
No, they did
Oh,
it.
I like the one in Oak
They
Lawn.
moved it to Fair Park.
Oh, that makes it no fun.
All right.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, thanks for joining Ken
You didn't
Goldberg's
tell them
Lawn
about-
Disorder with Ken Goldberg, an attorney in 3 different states who is taking cases. He loves divorce cases. So anybody that's going through a divorce, call Ken. Okay, that's his favorite. Not really. I'm just kidding. Not really. Look at the face he's making. What's wrong?
did you tell them about the Yogi Festival? Did you tell
Cosmic Yogi Festival, November 2nd. Yay. DallasYogaMagazine.com.
Kathy, by the way, said she had a smartphone, but she's just dumb using it. I told my little nephews and nieces one day, I said, "Oh, look, my smartphone says 2 + 2 is 5. That's a stupid phone, right?" So next trip I go, I see them. They're like, "Hey, Uncle Kenny, did you get a smartphone yet?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I still got the same dumb phone."
Oh,
All right, kids, we're
I'm already gone. You told me to go.
I'm
I
going.
followed directions.
She did.
I know.
Yeah. All right, I got to figure out how to turn this off.
There you go.
There's 3.